Somehow I'm lucky enough to get both Connors here today.
What's up?
It's good to have the trio back.
We've been thinking a lot about redefining the role of media buyer.
Creative is definitely the biggest lever. Absolutely. Like definitely the biggest lever. Pushing buttons is not a lever.
You have to be a marketer. I've said that to my team too. I'm like, hey, sometimes it does feel like we're thinking like a media buyer, or you're thinking like someone who just builds segments in Klaviyo or whatever. And it's like, okay, no, you got to take a step back. You got to be a marketer first.
We very intentionally don't use that title. I don't want to attract someone that only wants to be like just pushing the buttons in the campaign, which we just need to do more than that.
I was very curious how you guys think about building your team and what do you look for when you guys hire people? Can you guys believe this? We got all three of us. Somehow I'm lucky enough to get both Connors here today. What's up, guys?
What's up?
It's good to have the trio back.
The trio back. Yeah. We've been all over the place. Connor's in Austin this week.
I'm in Austin, Texas. Yep. This is my I think 5th Austin city limits in a row. And I used to live in Austin, so I try to come out here for like the week headed into it so I can just go and see some people and go to Barton Springs and just hang out in Austin for a week. It's a very charming place.
And great e-commerce town.
Great e-commerce town. One of the best, actually, I would say. It's got to be the best like e-commerce per capita, I think.
It's an interesting question. Salt Lake would be up there too, only because there's not that many people here in Salt Lake.
Right. And like LA and New York probably like best like net reach of e-commerce, but not per capita.
Raw e-com companies in LA, New York. Yeah, totally. I like it. We need a power ranking.
Yeah, it's a good one. Probably Utah. Yeah, Utah's up there, but I don't know, Connor. I think you're cutting that in half soon.
Yeah, true. I don't know if I told you this, Connor. I won't be able to make the Denver meetup because I'm moving to LA next week.
I knew you were moving. I didn't know it was next week.
Pulling the trigger. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Well, now I can see you more because I go out to LA way more than I go to Salt Lake.
Totally. I got a guest room for you if you want to come crash. You too, Cody.
Heck yeah.
Nice. I'll be there.
Cody got thrown in at the end.
Listen, Connor and I have to meet for the 4th time in person one day. We don't have anything lined up right now. Cool. Well, we got a good show. Excited to chat. Connor McDonald made my job pretty easy. I just stole his episode plan from last week that we didn't get to about media buying. So I'll probably just like let him run with that. That was a fun episode that we did where we picked our team. Connor, what we did, you'll have to listen to it. We picked like if you're starting a new brand, like you get 3 roles. So maybe we'll turn that over to you because you haven't listened yet. Maybe we'll get into that. I think that'll be a fun one. But we're going to talk about media buying, just like the role of media buying in today's org. And I think that'll segue naturally into like hiring. I was just like thinking about it the other day. It's obviously so important and I'm trying to get better at it. And just very curious how you guys think about things. I think we haven't talked about like team stuff in a while. So just very curious how you guys think about building your team and what you look for and things like that. So I think it'll be a fun episode. But before we get into it, always got to thank our sponsors. We got Motion, Rich Panel, Prescient AI, Aftercell, and House. All right, let's get into it.
So I don't know about you guys, but we are fully locked in on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and holiday sale at HexClad. Motion is, as always, a very big part of this. We do a ton of just iterations on evergreen ads with like Black Friday sale banners. So we're just taking literally our top performing ads from the entire year, slapping a banner on them. And that's at least one part of our content stack for BFCM. So easy just to use Motion to look at like last 90, last 6 months, year to date, which ads are getting us the best efficiency, which ads are getting us the best scale. It's like a really quick and easy way to pull that report in Motion and then come up with just a bunch of overlays onto your evergreen ads. That's one way we're using Motion as we head into the peak season for us. The other way we're using it is for more like instantaneous feedback. So we're saying, hey, we did that, but we also shot and produced all these seasonal ads. So which ones are performing best? And then we'll iterate on those like during BFCM. So all of this is getting powered by motion reports. It's just the quickest, the easiest way to see what's working, what's not. Connor, how are you guys using motion at Ridge to inform your Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and holiday ad decisions?
We're in a similar headspace. We did an exercise that I was calling a bottoms-up planning this year, where we granularly looked at what worked at what times throughout, late October, November, December last year. That all comes from analyzing our creative. So we got that foundational approach of what are the things we want to be prioritizing? And then we can get into the fact of what are the new things that we want to be trying this year. And motion really kind of led point on a lot of that analysis.
Cody, how about you?
Yeah, same thing. Like we'll have everybody propose their strategy and their plan, but like there should be no reason to start from scratch. Like there's no, blank page. I think you got to hit that like 80-20 of explore and exploit. But I think for exploiting, like you got to look at what's performed well. And, we try to have a lot of warm up points. Like we will have like a holiday kits launch soon. We have Labor Day. We have last Black Friday. So we just build a report of all of them. We just see what traits perform well, anything that you can filter by name and convention. So we don't have to start with a blank screen. And then we're able to just get more pinpointed in our strategy, hopefully each launch.
And lastly, one thing I really, really appreciate about motion is you don't need to like be this expert in how to use the tool. Like they're very good at getting you onboarded, getting your data ingested and connected, and then training you on exactly how to use the tool. So if you've been dragging your feet, it's time to get going with motion. Head over to motionapp.com.
Cody, before we get too far into the media buying point, you sent a very cool screenshot this week. Looks like you guys had a big sales day. What's going on?
Yeah, we are so back. I thought I barely slept the night before. It was like I literally, I'm not even joking. Like I had some, kids sleeping, but I was like wide awake, kid not sleeping. And I'm just like, I'm worried about Q4, man. Like saw this like jobs data that come out where like, I think we revised down. We thought we were going to add 52,000 jobs and we lost 3,000. Like it's just like looking pretty rough and performance has not been great. September was pretty rough. And then what do you know? The next thing is just, we're so back. It can flip like that in a moment. Here's what I'm excited about. So this was our anniversary kit. We do like a Bobby kit every year.
Right.
This was, I would say like last October, we crushed it. We sold through like 100K, like maybe it was 3 weeks of like units. So like crushed it pretty hard. It's going to be hard to comp. It's going to be one of those where we had like crazy growth and it's going to be hard to comp. So far day one, we beat it, which I'm pumped about. I think a few things that were successful. It's our 5-year anniversary. We have a lot of exclusive. What we've had a lot of success with is kits over the years. And I would say the success of them has gone down over time as we've launched more of them. And then people have more of the existing products. So like what we learned last year from like our holiday kits and things like that is like, it's not like if people have, we can't just put one exclusive thing in these kits because no one's going to spend $90 to get that one exclusive when they already have 4 of the products already in it.
Right.
And so it's just hard to continually come up with exclusives. And so in this kit, it's 5 exclusives for 5 years. And so we have 2 completely net new products, actually 3 products that you can't even buy. So what we'll usually do is we'll take a product that we're launching in the following year and put it in this kit. But we have one of them that we launched in this kit last year and never actually brought out, and people like want. We just didn't launch it yet. We have like a net new product, which is like probably like a tier 2 launch, so a pretty big one that people were excited about. One like product that like we're probably never going to launch, but like it's technically how Jones Road started. It was like the first sample that we had, and then 2 new shades. So like there was a ton of that. We did the strategy I was telling Connor about where we announced that we were launching it 5 days, and we revealed 1 product every day, and so everything was like a teaser. Probably got like 10,000 signups for it, but it seemed to get some buzz. Trying to figure out the right announcement strategy. It's so hard to know because you can't there's so many variables, right? Like, did this do well because of our strategy? We even had a marketing meeting yesterday where we're trying to plan our holiday announcement strategy. And we're like, well, did it do well because like people just had time to see it and consider it? Or did it do well because of the suspense, of like the open loop we try to create? So I don't know.
You said 10,000 people, Cody?
Yeah.
Signed up?
But there was obviously like way more social stuff and everything. Like a lot of people see it and just didn't sign up. And then I think the thing I'm most excited about, like obviously all that stuff is super important. The offering is the most important thing. We just been filling our funnel and just been doing obviously a lot more top of funnel stuff. And so I'm really excited. It was a pretty strong acquisition day. Our percent new on these kit ads is very high. Where often when we have like a promotional moment at launch, like it won't be really a ton of new traffic. And it's been really high and we're able to scale it. I think we'll be able to scale this hard. I think a lot of it is just the efforts that we've been doing on our Meta net new reach, like our September net new reach on Meta was like wild. Even though September wasn't good, like our reach was amazing. We launched podcasts. I know we were talking about we're at like a 0.8. Well, now we're at a 1.4. So, in like Podscribe, there's a huge uptick of revenue on that. So I feel good about that. And I feel like even though overall things are not exactly where we want them to be, like moving in the right direction. And it was a really gratifying moment to see like a lot of our efforts that our team has been doing in terms of this new reach stuff and filling our funnel, like starting to get some rewards, from it.
So one of my questions was like, how did it perform relative to the forecast? So you said it beat year over year. Did you guys project it to beat year over year?
No, I had it down. I try to forecast launches conservatively.
Totally.
I had it down. I have us pretty flat for the month. Just because last year was like so good. We probably like, doubled our previous October. So like I'd be cool if we were flat, but no, we probably beat it by, I think 50% probably.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So a lot. Yeah. And then my second question around this idea of like, did the reactivation strategy work better, or did the exclusive products make the kit more compelling to existing customers versus all the net new reach? Have you looked yet relative to last year's similar kit launch, how new and returning customer revenue performed? Because that's what I'd be super curious by.
No, that's a great question. I know acquisition performed well. We definitely always see like on a launch moment or something like this, like very strong repeat. So let's call it was probably like 65% repeat yesterday. But still, we sold, over 10,000 of these kits yesterday. So it's still, 3,500 new customers buying them. So it was still like a very strong AMER day.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's a good question. But I'm very excited about the percent new visits on this stuff.
Right. Totally. And then you kind of hinted at this a little bit, but do you typically take this moment to readjust your goals for November and December at all, whether that's like a creative thing or a email SMS thing or a media buying thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have like our weekly marketing meeting, and we're just going around. It's like, all right, guys, like, what did you see? It's almost like a postmortem. Like, what did you see people saying across your channels? What was data on this announcement? Obviously, the product is done for holiday, right? But we have holiday kits launching in a month, and it's like, what are we changing? And so we did slightly change, or probably decently, significantly change our announcement and teasing strategy. And I think that was our debate. Was like, were people excited? We definitely had a lot more what felt like buzz and visibility, and it was our strongest launch because a lot of them have been falling flat on like the first day and then picking up momentum over time. And so
okay, sorry, I have so many questions, but like that, so we see that a lot too. Not necessarily falling flat, but like, do you see it pick up momentum over the following days because it begins to work in acquisition?
Yeah, I believe so. But like, I think we used to just like tease the day before, announce it the day before, and like we would have a really strong first day. It's been like relatively quieter, and then over time things have picked up. And it's hard to know, but I think my hypothesis was like there's just like not enough buzz, there's not enough, awareness, and like we just have to do that. So we're going towards a longer announcement cycle, teasing, announcement, and kind of trying different strategies. Getting more like community support, social proof will be like a big focus for next year. Like getting reviews on site, even that'll take some time for next year. Where like Connor and I chatted about it for like some go to market. But I think it's just so hard to know. It's like, did this perform well because it was a kit, or because it's obviously a combination. So for holiday, we're going to go with something similar. We're not going to do the whole like every day we reveal one, but we're going to do something similar. And
so can I ask one question? Do you know, like, I know you said you're still digging into the data, but like generally speaking, when you launch a big new product like this, you said it's a good acquisition play. So it's like people that have been in your list for a bit, all of a sudden they see some newness and like, that's the thing I want to buy on my first order, which is amazing. But do you have a sense of like what that rev split will be? Is it like 3-to-1 repeat to first time? Is it like 50? Like, I'm just trying to get a sense of like how. I just love that you guys can like roll out iterations of your hero products like this that are like unique shades or flavors or whatever you call them, and it becomes an awesome acquisition play for you. Like, I wish I could roll out like some variant of our 12-inch fry pan and people are like, oh, that's the fry pan I want, and bang, they convert on the, like, that's just not really how our like obviously product mix works. So I was curious about the split. So
like yesterday was probably just like in Shopify was probably like, again, I don't know on a kit yet. I'll look into it later today, but just in Shopify and whole was probably like 65% repeat customer revenue. I think as spend scales and, I think spend will probably accelerate. So my guess is it'll be close to like a 50-50
Wow. That's
over
amazing.
over time. I think if it is as successful as we hope it is and want it to be, and we've done the proper work filling the funnel and, have obviously like good acquisition funnels for it, often we'll launch stuff and it's, 70-30. And those ones, obviously, we can't scale them as hard. But I think, by the way, like it's almost kind of like it's like a drug that it's almost like I think we're trying to get off like the whole kit thing because it's been so successful. I almost feel like we've also found our like local maxima with it. And it's like, because you guys don't really have that as an option. I guess Ridge kind of does, right? Ridge can do silhouettes and stuff like that. But it's like if Ridge only ever did that, like you guys wouldn't have grown as fast as if you're doing rings and all that other stuff.
Well, totally. Yeah. So because I think there's actually a bunch of like very similar behaviors between like the way we launch products, which I kind of find surprising. But one is we totally see the equivalent of kits for us is probably like new colorways. And we really started launching new colorways for the Ridge wallet summer 2023. Basically just for a long time, just all got worse. Like we did Hyperlime and then we did High Dive. We were doing all these new colors and like each one just got smaller over time. And that's more or less because more and more customers have not only their first wallet, but their second wallet also. You're like, if you're not growing the customer base extremely fast, then your new product launches will naturally kind of decay. So I think that's a really interesting behavior that we've seen. The other thing that I think is interesting is we'd see certain colorways, and I've talked about this before, just not work to our list. And we have those really from earlier this year. We have some very interesting examples of like, we did a Dessert Warrior, which is a donut themed wallet. It's like pink with sprinkles on it. Sent the email, sent the SMS, basically DOA. Like the person who wanted that colorway did not exist on our list and was basically only successful in paid media, which I think is arguably like the most exciting type of launch because it means you're truly introducing new people to the brand. So you guys, I guess you didn't have an example of that, but like there's probably similar effects. It's like, okay, yeah, if the kits include products that a lot of your customer base already has, then it becomes like more acquisition oriented, which I think is cool. And then the last one, which is the last point you made, how do you make these more potent over time? What I'm excited about for next year is we're getting away from like single colorway launches. We just launched yesterday Rodeo Red, which is like a red wallet and a bunch of complementary items. Very cool launch, looks cool. We worked with this bull rider. Next year, I would love Rodeo Red to be a red wallet and like 2 designed complementary wallets and actually like increase the surface area of these launches because I think that's what we need to do. Otherwise, they're just going to continue to kind of like wane in performance.
What do you mean by increase the surface area?
Okay,
more of like a collection around it than like
Well, so this is what I say because we basically like our acquisition products are wallets, rings, and luggage, right? So if we come out with a collection of Rodeo Red, which is a red wallet, and I'm cheating a little bit here because we do have a couple complementary wallets, but like our previous ones are like literally just like one new color of wallet and then pen, key case, keychain, just like complementary items, things like that, MagSafe card holder, phone case. If we want to acquire a new customer, they basically have to buy that one wallet. Like that is what people are coming to Ridge for, by and large. Like by multiple, they're by multiples more likely to be purchasing the wallet from us. So expanding the complementary items isn't increasing the surface area with which we can acquire a customer. So the way that we can actually, in my opinion, and again, this is just a hypothesis that we'll really be kind of executing on next year, is we actually need to increase the surface area with which we can acquire a customer. That means more wallet designs that will appeal to more people. So that's why Rodeo Red next year could be the solid red wallet. It could be some cool, what do they call, branded leather wallet, something like that. That's like rodeo inspired. And then a third one. And it's like, I think those 3 wallets can appeal maybe not to 3 times as many people, but to 1.5 as many people. And that's kind of the idea of how we get these like capsule launches to be a little bit more potent.
Yeah, so you're just trying to scale it out horizontally and kind of find like the local maxima where like the wallet is like the absolute maxima. And if you want to scale that, you need rings and you need luggage, but you can scale the wallet business much more if you go horizontally and don't try to just sell a metallic wallet to everybody, but that'll appeal to a certain number of people. And then, the donut one will appeal to a certain number of people and then just keep finding new pockets of audiences. Is that right?
Yeah, totally. And then also batching those up a little bit more too. And that's like, this is a different point now within Ridge, but we went from a period of time where we were launching 1 or 2 products a week. And then next year, we're going to focus on batching them up more so we can have fewer like moments basically, but we'll be able to extend those further because there will be more wallets. We'll hopefully have more paid media success and we can speak to them longer in email and SMS and we'll have multiple things to highlight within each of them. So That's the playbook.
Do you do like collections? Like, are you just doing a single wallet again, especially if it's like a licensing or like collaboration, or are you doing like, I think you did probably for like Marquise Brownlee, like you did a collection or like a capsule collection where like you got his branding on like 4 or 5 different products, right?
Yeah. So we've been doing more of those. Like the biggest wallet launches we've done basically have 2 designs.
Mm-hmm.
And then even those, I think next year, I'm excited about the merchandising calendar because I think the launches they are unique enough wallets from one another that will actually be appealing to net new people. I could give you an example. We launched Smokey Bear in 2023 that had 2 wallet designs, but they were basically the same idea. You had like a floating Smokey Bear head on the wallet of both, and one was cooler than the other. And I'm like, I don't think we're actually speaking to different people with these 2 designs. We have to like try to thread that needle a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel you. One thing we're doing, last thing on this, is outside of like this kit and holiday kits, the only kits we're doing next year, we still have a few, are collaborations. So we've done like no collaborations. So we have a few big ones just for reach. It's just like, all right, how do we take this stuff, put some exclusive in it, and borrow other people's audiences and IP? So we've got 2 brands that we're excited about, and a few like creator media podcast ones, which we're excited about. So just like, how do we take obviously a lot of still newness, but expand to other people's audiences with it is our bet for next year.
Cool. Well, I'm excited about your guys' most recent one. Seems like a big success.
Thank you. Let's keep scaling it. 2 years ago, we had a crazy Black Friday. We were actually one of the top selling brands and products on Shopify. It was really cool. Harley shouted us out on TV and everything, which was awesome. But it wasn't all good news. With unforeseen growth comes some challenges. And one of the challenges we had was we had a crazy backlog of CX tickets. At one point, I'm embarrassed to say we had a 7-day average response time that lasted for longer than it should have. A big part of it was our CX software was just not scalable and couldn't keep up. We were using one of those old legacy slow players. There was no AI involved. There was no automation, and just the UX was not great. And so when we came into Black Friday of last year, we knew we needed to prepare better. So we switched to Rich Panel. It was pretty close before Black Friday. Onboarding was really quick. 2 weeks was all it took. They got all of our macros there. They got all of our tickets. They trained our team. They just took care of everything. We got the self-service widget set up. I think now like 40% of people are actually getting responses just by the self-service widget. And then we're using obviously a lot of the AI. They have this like social AI moderation tool that us and Ridge are big fans of. Our average response time is now within hours. We've gone from 18 people to 10. We're able to, our CSAT is higher than it's ever been. And so last Black Friday, no backlog, all of our peak moments, we're able to, without having to fully ramp up our team or like go crazy with it, we're able to get back to people way better, provide a better customer experience. And Rich Panel is a huge part of that. So you want to get ready before peak season, before Q4 and Black Friday, switch to Rich Panel. You'll save money on software. You won't need as many people, and you'll be able to just provide a better service for your customers. So go to richpanel.com/demo and tell them Cody from Marketing Operator sent you. All right. I know we want to talk about media buying, role of media buying in today's org. It was a good conversation last week where you were picking your roles and, you had your creative strategist running the media. So if that doesn't say how bullish you are on media buying being essentially dead. And my views have changed. So I'm very curious. But I want to start it with you. Maybe we'll start it up with a tweet. You want to explain, not your tweet, but you want to explain the tweet, friend of the pod, enemy of the pod, Taylor Holiday, whatever you want to call him. You want to, love you, Taylor. You want to explain his tweet?
Beloved friend of the pod, for sure. Yeah, so there's 2 here. I'm sharing my screen now. You have Michael Miraflor. I've never said his last name aloud, but a fantastic Twitter follower for those who don't follow him. He talks about strategists who can do work, tacticians that can incorporate strategy. These aren't the same, but either way, the intersection of these 2 things are in short supply. If this is your skill set, you need to scream about it. You'll get paid well for it, freelance or full-time. So it's just talking about this blend of strategy and tactician, or like the tactical execution of these things. Taylor quote tweets, and he says, "We're currently using this exact model of the design of a new role we call quote unquote growth engineer. Growth engineer will combine financial, growth, media, and creative strategy with the ability to execute against the strategy every day. These 2 disciplines won't be separated in the new world. Beginning next year, a single individual will be able to seamlessly deliver the work of what previously took a 4 to 5 person team with technology, systems, AI, all built on a unified data foundation for all the parts of the org. These individuals will be able to manage more work at higher levels of quality. Lots more to come about these changes." But Michael's post kind of spurred his thinking on it, or spurred his excitement. I've been thinking about that a lot, not really in the same way. And let me take it a little bit higher level here. We've been thinking a lot about redefining the role of media buyer. Like we had a director of paid social who just became VP of paid media. And I think that title change going from paid social to paid media is like indicative of more things, just from like a channel perspective, but also, a responsibility perspective and how we want to be thinking about it. So Cody, I'm curious your thoughts. Where are you at in this like development of the media buying role in e-commerce today?
That's such a good question. Yeah, I agree. I also think the whole strategy and execution will lead us really well into the hiring conversation that I want to have after this. I think this is actually going to be a perfect segue that wasn't even planned. I've gone back and forth. Like creative is definitely the biggest lever. Absolutely. Like definitely biggest lever. Pushing buttons is not a lever. I think I've taken and again, like uploading is easy. There's a lot of uploading tools. So like stuff like that is easy, picking targeting. I think it's like, maybe it's the strategy and analysis piece that I think is probably more important and that, guides the strategy. I'll give you an example where like I'm spending a lot of time with this. My director of growth we just hired like a new growth manager who's great. We're looking at, again, like net new reach. We're like, all right, what's driving reach? Like we're doing a lot of, analysis in our account. We're doing a lot of testing, right? That's like a strategic thing where we're doing a lot of incrementality testing. We're doing, and I think that's really important. It's different than probably traditional media buying of let me surf scale budgets and stuff like that. But there's still a lot of analysis that I think we're doing. Maybe you could make the argument that we're actually able to do a little bit more of the strategic analysis because the buying is automated.
Right.
I agree with that, Cody. I would say like we pay like a good amount we do a lot of media buying in-house, but we do a lot of it external as well. And like we pay pretty good rate for our paid social media buyer in the US and Canada. And like 100% agree with your last comment on like, I'd say at least half of what we pay him or more is like, he's really dialed with the data. Like he can go in the ad account and he can cut it and slice it in a million different ways by audience type, like creative in the audience type, like where are we serving, how is that changing your review? Like it's very detailed reports that really help us understand like very granularly what's happening in our media buy or in our ad account. I think that's like a massive value add, and like that is why we paid that person what we pay them. I candidly think Taylor's tweet here is like a little utopian, like one growth engineer taking the role of 4 to 5 people. I don't really agree. I think that growth engineer just sits over those 4 to 5 people. Maybe some of the people do get pulled back, right? Maybe it's like a 3-person team where you used to need 4 or 5. Because I do agree. Like I think technology and process can replace some of these people. I don't think it totally wipes out 4 to 5 people. Now you have one person doing it. I just think this is like, growth engineer, like VP of marketing, head of growth. I think he's just calling it a different thing. And I think that this is the person that just like sits over the buyer, the strategist, the other parts of the growth marketing team. And yeah, maybe you can lean out a little bit with technology, but I think it's like, I don't think beginning next year, it's like one person, like 4 to 5 people are turning into one. That's like insane.
Yeah. I think he's setting a really high watermark. And what I'm interested in is like, where is everybody landing relative to that? Because Connor, do you guys have a media buyer title? Or like I guess you said you have a paid social director or something. They are more or less a media buyer.
So we've never internally had a director of paid social. Like I resonated with your comment about your previous paid social lead, I forget their title, is now VP of paid media. Mm-hmm. We've always had it that way. So like we used to have a head of advertising. Now we have a director of paid media. That person has always sat over the entire paid media department and has been responsible for overseeing all of the day-to-day rollout of our advertising spend, making sure we're spending to budget all of our channels, but we've never had like a director of paid social. So yeah, I guess the person's an external partner, so he doesn't really have like an official title within our org, but like, yes, he'd be our, I don't know, paid social lead, or I don't know what he would be exactly if he was internal, but that would be his role. And he would report into, or still does kind of report into, our director of paid media that oversees the entire stack of paid media, which is like a very involved role, overseeing, 10 to 15 channels. And then like the people or the agencies buying the media in those channels, it becomes very involved very quickly.
And so the paid media lead on your team, sorry, I forgot the title name, but they do they oversee creative at all? Or are they receiving creative? Are they receiving landing pages and then they're just managing like the spend behind it across all those channels?
They are. So like our creative strategist lead technically reports directly into me and not into the director of paid media, but they're very involved with creative strategy. They're very, very involved, even more so with landing page roadmap and strategy, and like working with our CRO lead and our web dev team to like produce landers. Their number one responsibility is managing our day-to-day budget, right? Like him and I are like getting in lockstep exactly on how much we're going to spend for the entire month, and then daily budgets. And then it's up to him to really manage that spend. So he's also has input into creative strategy and landing page roadmap. It's not his like number one responsibility, but he is very involved.
Okay, Cody. And then do you guys have growth titles, or do you have media buying titles? And in your mind, what's the distinction there?
Yeah. So we have growth. So our director of growth also oversees retention and ecom. And it's partly partly by design, right? Partly because she's essentially the strategist. And I think there's a lot of value in having those things under one. So you don't just have the silos, because what happened before, we had people and they're like, well, we need this landing page. And it just like wasn't as organized. So, technically we have landing pages like under ecom and not under our growth manager, but because she's overseeing it, it's all the same. We have creative kind of under it, kind of not, but we'll have creative like strategy under it soon. And then our growth manager is I would say mostly paid social. This is what we talked about during like the recruitment process and things. I think you either have to be just a media buyer across all, just to justify, like totally honestly, to justify somebody's salary, like a high 6-figure salary, you have to be media buying across all channels to make it worthwhile, right? That way we can replace a Google agency, stuff like that, if you're just a media buyer. Or you have to be doing things non-media buying, which I think gets into a little bit more of a strategic part.
Totally.
So you got to be optimizing funnels. Right. You don't have to be making creative. You don't even have to be briefing creative, but you have to be strategizing creative. I think you have to be like, hey, this is performing well. You have to be doing really good data analysis, I believe, And so that's our expectations of our growth manager. So essentially like top down. So I do overall forecasting, like beginning of every month, I'll forecast a month and then I'll do media mix. Right. And I'll work on the media mix with our director of growth, but we'll run an MMM and stuff like that. In terms of our like experimentation roadmap, that's probably very collaborative of like the director of growth manager and myself. But again, I want the growth team to have a shared goal of acquisition performance. I don't want it to be like, hey, you're just a meta buyer. You just have meta, you know what I mean? Right. So that's kind of why we have it that way. Day to day, the growth manager is managing paid social. They have like a ad operations person under them who uploads stuff, things like that. And then we have one remote media buyer who buys on our smaller channels. So like an AppLovin or a Pinterest or a TikTok. So they're like just a buyer, but we still expect them to give some data, to give requests for creative as well. So that's how we have it split up.
Yeah, I really like your point around if you want to command a high 6-figure salary, and I'd even say like just anybody getting into anything media buying related today, or if you want to be thinking about growth, because I've been seeing a lot of this discussion on Twitter, like people misconstruing or conflating growth with media buying. Like I saw someone say that the other day, like growth equals media buying. I'm like, that couldn't ever be less true than it is today in Q4 2025.
Yeah.
So this idea that,
but it probably was a few years ago.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, when we had the agency 8 years ago, like 8-9 years ago, clients would pay us to like we would get ads, we would get landing pages, we would just set them up in Meta. And for what it's worth, you could provide a lot more unique value with targeting, with testing different forms of optimization, et cetera. Like you could just create more value in the account uniquely 9 years ago. Today, it just feels like a lot of that stuff comes out of the box. Like the best types of media buying is a much lower touch form of media buying. And therefore you should be spending more time on all the things that you just mentioned.
By the way, we don't use media buyer as a title either for that reason. Like we're hiring a new search and YouTube buyer right now. They're going to buy across every search account, every YouTube account in like all of our markets. But they're going to be like senior growth strategists. Their media buying will not be part of their title because of all the reasons we just mentioned. They are absolutely expected to dial in the creative. Like they got to do all these localization translations for all these markets. Like it's very much at least half their work or more probably happening outside of the ad account. So we very intentionally don't use that title because I don't want to attract someone that only wants to be like just pushing the buttons in the campaign, which we just need to do more than that.
I'll hire you to just be a media buyer. I'll pay you $3,000 a month though.
Right.
It's pretty much like that's essentially the only people we have that just do media buying are junior, lower level people. We definitely had that in the past, and we just had to restructure. It just wasn't
totally
right. Well, and sometimes I thought I was crazy. Like, am I expecting too much? Right? Like, am I expecting too much of somebody to have the skills for the analytical media buying and the creative? But I'm like, well, I wouldn't hire an email person and like not expect them to actually do our emails. Like, no one's just like doing Klaviyo, you know what I mean, and doing analysis. Like, they're doing the entire program. Yeah, they don't have to make the emails, but like they are the strategists behind it. Same thing with social. You wouldn't like hire somebody just to like post on social and look at data. But for some reason, because there's
some people do for sure. Organic social.
You don't think they're doing the whole channel?
Oh, dude. I mean, I'm biased, but yeah. I'm also saying 8-9 years ago, there was totally a role where it was like, you just get content from the team, post it on social, write the captions.
I just think like, yeah, but like those channels, like you're a marketer first, right? You're an email marketer. You're like, and so like you can't really strip out the creative component from the performance of it. For some reason as you've talked about on paid social, we've kind of done that a little bit in the past.
Yeah.
And I think we're all aligned.
If you are running or operating a DTC brand, the next few months, BFCM and the holidays are your Super Bowl. The question is, are you doing everything you can to maximize average order value on every single purchase? Aftersell by Rocked makes sure you are. Aftersell is the leading post-purchase optimization suite trusted by over 50,000 e-commerce brands. With one-click upsells, cart and checkout optimizations, and Rocked Thanks monetization, Aftersell helps you get the most out of every transaction without adding friction. Brands like Jones Road, Ridge Wallet, Hexclad, and Shoe Classic love it, and here's why. The data tells the story. One-click post-purchase upsell that convert up to 16% of buyers instantly. Smart checkout and cart offers that feel natural, not pushy, driving up to 30% higher AOV. And Rocked Thanks, which turns your thank you page into a profit center with premium partner offers from brands like Disney Plus and HelloFresh. Hexclad's been using Aftersell for a really long time. I love Aftersell. First off, there's no friction with Aftersell. It's all happening post-purchase, so it plugs in really, really well with your existing funnels that your team is spending hours building and optimizing. And it truly is just incremental revenue on top of orders you're already going to get. Naturally, a subset of people that have already made a purchase for you are going to see this Aftersell push. There's going to be an offer that they really like, and they're going to add that product on with one click. There is literally hundreds of thousands of dollars of incremental revenue happening on Hexclad every single month simply through this post-purchase Aftersell up and cross-sell. And it is very easy to set up. You don't need any custom design, no custom HTML. It plugs in really nicely to your post-purchase page, and it's just incremental revenue on top of all the conversions that you're already driving. So it's really a no-brainer to set up. It's crushing for Hexclad. On average, brands using Aftersell see a 30% lift in AOV and $20,000 to $30,000 in pure profit per 100,000 orders from Rocked Thanks alone. Don't just sell more, make more from what you're already selling. Head to aftersell.com/operators to activate Rocked Thanks and get the full Aftersell suite free exclusively for Marketing Operators listeners.
I love that point that you just said, like, you have to be a marketer. I've said that to my team too. I'm like, hey, sometimes it does feel like we're thinking like a media buyer, or you're thinking like someone who just builds segments in Klaviyo or whatever. And it's like, okay, no, you got to take a step back. You got to be a marketer first. Let me quickly talk through the ways that the notes that I have for like redefining how I want to think about media buying, and then it just slowly becomes growth at Ridge, and see where you guys land. Because I think that there's a lot of parallels to what Taylor said, a lot of parallels to what we've already hit. So I've said many times, our VP of paid media oversees performance, creative, media buying, measurement. So there's like, from the jump, like more going on there. Measurement being our experimentation roadmap, managing house, all those things. Media buying, the standard, like setting ads up and spending them across channels. And then performance creative, I think uniquely rolls into paid media, at least in our organization, but that's how we do it. The other two big things, in my opinion, are, and this becomes like the finance piece that Taylor mentioning, but like consistently understanding the objectives of the business, like the different categories within the business, and then reporting on those. So they are at the end of every week analyzing on an MER, AMER basis by category, by market, helping them make better budget allocation decisions, which I think is maybe a new development for the media buying role. And then two, I've got Nick Sharma used this on a podcast I listened to a couple of weeks ago called Funnel Diagnostics, which I really liked, where at the end of the day, everything is coming together when the media buyer sets up an ad, or when this person sets up an ad, the landing page, the email pop-up that we're getting, the capture rate we're getting on that, the creative, the channel, the mix, the whole thing is like all coming together right there. So I'd like them to be the torchbearers of making sure that's all making sense and performing the way that they need. And it's basically their job to like surface any issues or opportunities back up to the rest of the organization. And I think that is also a somewhat new development in terms of ownership and responsibility, at least in what we've thought about it in the past. We've thought about the different pieces that make up that funnel as being different members of the team are responsible for it. But I'd really like for it to kind of centralize around the person who's building the ad.
That makes sense. So if they see like, if this person's owning a funnel and like part of the funnel is new ad creative and a landing page, let's say it's for like, I don't know, what the donut wallet. And if what would this person's, question number one to clarify, what would this person's role be in your org? They'd be like a media buyer, or?
They'd be like what we're calling it right now is we have the VP of paid media and a, director of paid media.
Got it. So the director of paid media would be this person that's like owning this funnel. And then let's say hypothetically, like, so they're owning the entire funnel from beginning to end. And they're like, I just think the conversion rate on this could be better. Like the add to cart rate is like lower than our core website. And like, we need to fix that. Even though they're not the person that's actually going to be like redesigning and redeveloping the page, they're going to call out the KPI. And then they're going to basically probably come up with some ideas on like, all right, this KPI needs to improve, I think, to make the entire funnel improve. They'll outline a strategy to do that. And then they'll actually go and they'll be a true producer in the sense that they're going to go like brief in your web team. They're going to redesign it, redev it, but the buck stops with the person. I love that. I think that's brilliant.
And it's really just creating more of like a push-pull relationship. Because I think right now the e-com team will be like, here's our landing page. Maybe here's the A/B test that we're running.
Right.
Like they are trying to improve it from a push perspective. But also I would like the person who is assembling it and looking at the data on a very granular basis every day to also have the ability to trigger new landing pages or tests in the opposite direction.
Yeah, that makes
rather
sense.
than just receiving it from the team.
Well, you have to, because you're holding this person accountable to, especially at a VP level, you're holding this person accountable to performance. And so they have to be able to have the levers and have like the autonomy to be able to do that. And if you put, and again, this is where we've centralized as well, but if you put creative under another team, e-com under another team, like obviously finance is a different team, but like they don't have the resources to be able to make these changes. It's like, what are they going to do? They can be like, oh, we need more creative. And this is what we had in the past. Media buyers would be like, oh, we need more creative. I'm like, all right, like
do something
about it.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think even like, and again, you're never going to have everything perfectly underneath them. I think some of that is our job as a leader if we oversee all of marketing or the whole team of like, all right, like this, yeah, I get that this designer is not on your team, but like you have a dotted line and like, let me get the culture and like the expectations the same. So even if they're not directly underneath you, like we can work cross-functionally and like get you what you need.
100%.
That's actually like a red flag for me when people say what you just said, Cody, like we need more creative and that's where the line stops. Like, cause that used to be the norm, right? That's actually like swung so far that it's a red flag for me now. Like, I'm like, all right, you're going to recommend that we need more creative, but if you don't follow, it's a red flag if you don't also follow up with, and here's what I think would work. Or maybe even more importantly, and here's how I think we can produce it. Like, oh, we need more landing pages. Oh, we need more creative. That's like lazy growth marketing work. Okay, thanks, Captain Obvious. Like, tell me what we should make here and how we're going to make it. Like, that's my big thing with like some agencies and consultants is like everyone has good, big, grandiose ideas, but it's few and far between that are like, all right, I just pitched you this like campaign that's very net new and could drive performance, but I didn't add a shred of advice on how to actually operationalize around it. Like you gotta offer strategy and operationalize what you're recommending.
Yeah, I mean, we've just been talking strategy. I feel like we've been talking a lot of strategy and how automation has helped free that up, because you're not doing tactical buying. But then the next step is, okay, like where are the performance levers and how do you execute on those?
And that was, and that's, I guess, the ultimate point that I'm making is we're moving away from this world of being a tactician at the media buying level where you're clicking buttons in platform. And like, frankly, like I said, many years ago, you could provide a lot of value that way. Now you have to move up the stack into the strategy role, you have to be doing both because a lot of media buying is becoming automated or simpler to do or more consolidated or whatever else. And as you move up that stack, what do your responsibilities look like and how are you interfacing with the rest of the organization? And I think that's just an interesting trend. That's why I want to talk about it.
It makes it so much more satisfying too. Like, at least in my experience as a growth marketer, this change has made, like, when you really connect on a new swing you're taking, it's so much more satisfying because it just naturally takes more coordination and there's a longer lead time to actually executing on the thing you want to do versus my ad account sucks right now. I'm going to see if switching from like a 7-day click window to a 1-day click works. And it's like all happening in real time. It's like, no, like we have like a huge marketing supply chain that we're trying to coordinate right now. And when it comes together perfectly and it hits, you're like, that was cool. Like that was delayed gratification and it worked out and it was totally worth it. You could say the same thing. It's like, God, we just spent 2 months on this landing page and it's tanking compared to where our control is right now, or the like current pages. But like, I think it's made the job more fun, and it's also like really weeded people out because you have to be able to think bigger picture and to like see it through and to really know how to work like what I keep calling internally like the marketing supply chain. You really have to know how to work the marketing supply chain to be an effective like internet marketer these days.
I think it would be interesting to do a future one on like how we operationalize this. Like, what are the reports that your VP of growth or paid media or whoever it is like what are they doing weekly? What are you doing monthly? Right? Like, I think that would be an interesting one to see like what's this actually look like in practice. Because like, for example, I feel like this person should be sending a report, weekly. This is how we're pacing. Maybe they're checking for daily. Sure. I think that would be a cool one.
And it's okay. So I know we have some questions on the hiring we want to hit, but this goes back to Taylor's tweet. What is the phrasing that he uses? It's all built on a unified data foundation, because that's really what matters. Is like, at the end of the day, and that's not even the whoever we want to call this person, this like new media buyer role, this growth role, whatever. You also need to be supplying them with the views of the data that they can use to make better decisions. Mm-hmm. And like, that's almost a completely different function within the organization. That goes down to like, are you forecasting your business in the same way that you're buying the media or allocating across channels? Because it's all super connected.
How much time have you guys wasted in your, not just like now, but in your careers, having this conversation where like, I'm looking at the same thing that Cody or Connor is, and then all of a sudden I'm like, person A is like speaks out a data point. I'm like, wait, how, like I don't have that at all. Like, where are you seeing that? And then I'm looking at the data I'm looking at, and it's just this disconnect. I do really agree with that unified data foundation, because I know in like my agency days we would spend we'd waste time being like, wait, why are you seeing it, analyzing it this way with these data points, and I'm seeing it totally differently? Like all of a sudden 30 minutes has gone by and all we've done is try to figure out like which data is accurate and try to align at the same numbers. I think that happens a lot. Probably.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're probably, I'd like to think we're on the lower end. I'm a big proponent of naming conventions. Like I am OCD about making sure we're all on the same page around like tagging things. Yeah. But like another thing that I've heard is, I have friends at big multi 9-figure businesses who will launch new products, and they're like, and they'll be on like, 8-figure run rates or something. I'm like, is that beating like forecast, or are you guys like baking that into the financial projections? Does your goal for October consider that you expect 10% of revenue coming from this new category? And they're like, no, they have like a top line revenue forecast. Yeah. I'm like, I just don't understand how that works. Or like, if you're going to expect a lot of other people in the organization to interpret those financial goals and then reinterpret them into like, well, what does that mean for this new product category that I launched versus this one? We're pretty good about hedging against that. Where we've wasted a ton of time, but are in the middle of addressing, is the communication of like product categorization between ops and planning and marketing, where it was like, we've all been on really pretty different pages at different points in time, but that gets addressed in the next like 2 weeks.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like I think we're in a very good spot, but that was one that as we've grown, we've had to really work out that side of it, because it's like, there would be POs placed and demand plans based without ever getting a spend goal or how a marketing team feels about, or vice versa. So now it's like super close together, but that's when here's a funny one. So we're doing this big like Pinterest test and we have a lot of credits, and our data analyst was like, we were in like a thread with Noah from House and the House team about like, for our MMM and stuff, like, should we report our total spend or with the credits? And me and our data analyst were like, we thought we were disagreeing in the thread and like saying different things. And I was just like so confused. And unfortunately, I just walked over like 50 feet to go talk to him. And we're like, we're saying the same thing. Like he was saying like, oh, let's send the total spend, like the gross spend, not like the net of credits. And I was saying the same thing, but we were saying it differently. And like, it was just like a funny one. I just like walked over and I'm like, yeah, like we're saying the same thing.
The beauty of in-office work.
Exactly. Take that, Sean.
I keep hearing the same things from people lately. I'm being asked to do more with less. I have big goals to hit, but my budget is tight and every marketing dollar needs to work harder. I know I'm hearing this at HexClad. I'm sure a lot of operators are hearing this at their brands. Super relevant right now. Incrementality testing is the best way to figure out what's actually moving the needle, so you can move around your ad spend in a way that's backed by science. All three of us use House for incrementality testing. We all love it. And House is now working with more than 40 of the top 100 DTC brands, which is pretty insane. I can speak personally for HexClad. The amount of insights that we've gotten, especially on our view-based channels and how those are driving impacts in efficiency and revenue for our business, is not only super valuable, but only possible through House. Channels like Connected TV, YouTube, TikTok, these very view-based channels that don't garner a click the same way that Facebook and Google does, have been really only measurable through geo incrementality holdout testing. And the actionable next steps from these tests in terms of deciding to scale up or down or keep spend where it's at is really amazing. House helps you run experiments on your channels so you can confidently answer the questions you've always wondered about. Things like, what channels are actually driving my business? How much should I be spending on each channel? What's the impact of my ads on Amazon or retail sales? How should I structure my Meta and Google accounts to make sure they're spending dollars in the right way? The beauty of House is that it's built for marketers. The science under the hood is rigorous, but the platform itself is simple. So you pick a question, launch a test in minutes, and get real results fast. Every customer is paired with a measurement strategist, someone who understands growth and brings a clear strategic point of view. They will get to know your business, help you build a roadmap of impactful tests, and guide you as you operationalize incrementality in your day-to-day. Even if you're brand new to testing, you're not doing it alone. It is very much in no way like a go sign up for the platform and figure it out on your own. You have a partner in these customer success reps from House who's been in your shoes. And now more than ever, you need to make every marketing dollar count. Up-level your measurement with House by going to house.io/operators. That's HAUS.io/operators and start allocating your budget with confidence.
All right, let's segue to hiring. I actually think this is a good one because we're starting to just like talk about our culture and things like this. And I think the one, just from knowing you guys, like from what I can tell about both of your cultures, like so much of this success is how you structure things, like how the different departments work together. And we've learned a lot of like who works in a culture like this. And so I'm very curious, like as you guys go, maybe let's start with the culture perspective. Like I'm hiring, we actually just posted today, VP of marketing. We've been like recruiting quietly, but just posted today. So like, that's when Connor, I know you hired, right? And so I have some questions about that, but like for a leadership position at your company, let's say like director above, like what do you guys look for from a culture perspective? Because I'll share what I've learned. Like we've probably only hired one or two people from like a big company before, like an Estee Lauder or something like that. Like just could not be the worst culture fit because they were just all like, they just build decks all day. Right. And that's like pure strategy. Right. And like you have to execute. We have one VP, she's our VP retail. And like, I think she's a perfect fit where like she can be very strategic. I can do we can plan 2 years out and where are all of our openings. She can, request data, things like that. But she can also like get into a store and open a new store and go work with a team and be like, here's how we're getting this AOV up for the store. So like, she's a very good, maybe it's a hybrid role. Is that something that you guys look for in your organizations as well?
I mean, we've had the same issue, by the way, like someone from like, some big, massive corporation, it's still like consumer, but it's just like, to your point, Cody, they can only get as low as 500 feet. They don't know how to get any lower. And that just doesn't work at a scrappy, like fast growing startup. I don't think probably anywhere. So we've like learned the hard way there. You know, like one of the main things I look for is just like self-starterness, for lack of a better term. Like we've talked about this, but like we operate on a quarterly tempo. So like every quarter, like we have a very thorough process for setting every single person's like key results and initiatives for the quarter. And we do that every single quarter. So I'm trying to hire for the person. Like I learned this is what Chad from Groons taught me this, and I've started to use it more at HexCloud, is like, you are the CEO of like insert your focus, right? You're the CEO of retention, or you're the CEO of CRO. And like, you should treat your job that way. So like if you and I sit here at the beginning of the quarter and we shake hands and agree like what your priorities should be and what you should complete this quarter, in theory, now this isn't in reality how it works, but like in theory, like I could not talk to you for 2.5 months. And like at the end of the quarter, I should know exactly what you did or didn't do because we aligned on it at the beginning of the quarter. And that really creates that requires a level of like self-motivation and being a self-starter to like go and do the thing. Now, reality, we are still meeting regularly to like collaborate on the things that the growth team is focused on. But I think that's a huge personality trait I'm looking for right away, is like, is this person going to take their list of, 5 to 15 things that they're held accountable to and just go and get it done at all costs and really own the completion of it, right? They're not going to be the type of like, what really bugs me is the person who's like, well, I like couldn't complete this thing because like the ball's in so-and-so's court and like I'm still waiting on them. It's like, no, like go make it happen. Like go force it out of them. Like you do have control over that. And so really like avoiding that and like trying to find the people where like, if you very clearly outline what they're responsible for, like they're going to go and make it happen and they're going to work through problems. And like, I don't need to be like knocking on their door every week or every 2 weeks to be like, check in, status updates. I know, just like get it done and like give me the key milestones along the way. And especially when it's completed. And if you're not going to complete it and you really do feel like it's out of your control, like that's when you need to let me know. Don't sit there and like let it be out of your control for a month and a half. And then we get to the end of the quarter and it's not completed. Like you need to proactively communicate and then we can work through it together. But like, all boils down to that person being like, all right, I have my list. I'm going to go get these things done because that's my job.
We had an old executive at the company who would say, don't let others let you fail, which I think is great. It's like super simple. Exactly what you just said.
That's so good.
Connor, how about you guys? Like, how do you approach or balance like the strategy level that you need with like getting the right cultural fit and getting a doer?
Okay, I have a slightly different spiel on culture I'd like to hit, because you guys are totally right. Well, we've all had the same experience. The last one, I spoke to someone at Crocs, and I was like, dude, Crocs is sick. Awesome. And then she laid out the org, and it was like massive. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're just like constantly, like it just sounds so bureaucratic over there. I'm like, she could be and it depends on how we want to define culture here. And that's what my spiel is going to be about. But she was coming from a organization that was far more bureaucratic and led me to believe that she might not be like the on the ground doer that we need. But like, frankly, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. It's very hard to tell most of the time, I would say. The spiel that I want to make about culture though, because we'll talk sometimes and I'll hear certain people say, I've heard this in the past, but we'll talk with like, cool, like quote unquote cool people, man or woman, they're kind of chill. They got a good vibe, whatever. And like, we've had someone on the team who would be like, they're a great culture fit. And I've totally like reversed on that, where it's like, I do not care about that at all. And maybe it's partially because we're in a remote workplace where like, I don't need to like necessarily sit next to you or like have lunch with you every day or grab beers after work or whatever. Like maybe like the interpersonal connection isn't quite as important remotely as it is in an in-person workforce, or it just doesn't really matter to like the objectives of Ridge, of building a great brand. And then I say this very lovingly, I say, our culture's like, we're a bunch of dorks. Like we're like mostly dorks and we work really hard and we're like marketing dorks. We do podcasts and we listen to podcasts. We spend a lot of time on Twitter. And it's like, that is culturally probably closer to what we are than some people will be like, oh yeah, I want it to be. And the other thing here is it ends up getting reflected in how the brand operates as well, right? If I am at, we have a competitor, James Brand, based down in San Diego, extremely cool. And when they need to be hiring a marketing director, that person needs to be cool, for sure. That's the game they're playing. I think Huckberry's like that too. They have roles where like those people need to be cool if you're producing dirt videos or whatever. A lot of what we do at Ridge is we need to be marketing dorks and into analytics and into tactics and into trends. And that's really what we're looking for. And I think only recently did I realize like, oh yeah, when at least I've heard people talk about culture, that's actually more or less what we're trying to nail.
That's a great take. That's such a great take. That called like being someone that you like does not equal good culture fit. Is basically what you're saying, right?
Totally. Yeah. Or like, I mean, yeah, the flip side of that is you end up liking the people who are also marketing dorks and help the business succeed.
You're a sick operator? Yes, I really like you. Yeah, and want to hang out with you.
I'm smiling because I couldn't agree more, and I have this conversation with my team all the time. Like, we had somebody recently who was like one of those like good for the culture people, like goes out, gets drinks with people, like things like that. But like part of our core values is like go above and beyond. Like no job is beneath you. You know, no one can say like that's not my job. And this person, good for the culture, goes out, gets drinks, but they were also like, hey, this is not my job. Like I'm not going to bother to make other people's jobs easier. I'm not going to go above and beyond. I'm not going to like learn about it. I'm like, is that good for the culture? And what happened was because I'm trying, like I think in the past we haven't had a high performance culture, and I'm like working my butt off to try to get it there. And what happens is, they go out for drinks a while in their first year and things like that, and then things start to get tougher. And like people, especially as the rest of your team elevates and as cares about performance, like they're no longer going to want to go out for drinks with that person. If you do have A players and stuff like that. So I think that's one. And like, here's an example of culture. Like we hired this VP of retail and she's very focused on numbers, very things like that. And like we've had decent amount of turnover as store managers. And I actually shouted her out in like a meeting of like our leadership team this week. I was like, you guys have done a great job of that. And like, I want everybody to know, like, I consider that a really good thing that we've had turnover because you've improved the culture. Yeah, some people, managers said they don't like the culture. It's becoming too corporate or whatever. I was like, no, our business is much better off for it. That is positive culture for our business. Like
totally.
My business is, and it's not that I don't care. I'm not going to be the one who's going to organize the drinks and the happy hour. Like go do it. But like, that's not making my business better,
Yeah,
totally.
So I could not agree more with you on that take.
So if you are a brand spending, 8 figures on media, you have a very diverse channel mix, you definitely do not want to be going into Q4 without Prescient. Prescient AI is going to help you beat all your goals in this critical quarter. It's going to put you ahead of the competition. BSM's coming fast and there's still a lot to do to finalize the Q4 strategy. There's a bunch of questions I find marketers asking themselves headed into Q4. And I think Prescient can actually help solve and answer a lot of these questions. So I just wanted to run through a few of those. Question number 1, if you're wondering, should you increase, decrease, or reallocate spend for the shopping season, Prescient shows you the optimal media mix to drive the strongest Q4 performance, whether your budget grows or shrinks. I think that's one of my favorite parts about Prescient. You can actually say, hey, I'm currently at spend levels X, but I'm going to bring my spend to Y in the next X number of days. Where should I put this budget? And Prescient's going to actually deliver recommendations based on your current BFCM dynamics, your vertical, and your optimal ad spend allocation. And then the next question becomes, can I adjust this in real time? HexClad moves budgets around a lot in Q4, and we really need to know, hey, where should we put that budget? So being able to do that spend forecasting exercise and letting Prescient know how much you're going to increase your budget, and then they're giving you an optimal media mix, just makes it really easy and straightforward to allocate your ad dollars efficiently. You might also be wondering and thinking, I don't have time to onboard a new tool mid-season. Like, how can I get MMM level of visibility? That's one of the best parts about Prescient is it is super easy to onboard. They connect to your data sources in days and has your Shopify brand live in about 10 days. So you're getting granular, actionable results really fast. So Q4, it's make or break for Shopify brands, and Prescient helps you make more than you're going to break. It gives you full funnel visibility and campaign level insights, not just showing where clicks convert, but all channels influence each other across Shopify, Amazon, and retail. It is the only media mix modeling tool revealing halo effects on Amazon sales. So again, gives you the super holistic look at your total distribution. And finally, Prescient helps marketing leaders make smarter decisions in real time with full funnel visibility and actionable insights for the strongest Q4 you can possibly have. So if you're interested in checking out Prescient, go to prescientai.com/operators.
So what do you look for when you guys hire people? What tells you? Because you can't just say, hey, are you good for culture? Do you work hard? Like, do you guys have any tricks, any interview questions or processes to help figure out, is this person going to be a match for the performance culture of our company?
I've got a really obvious one. I don't think it'll be helpful at all, but we've, knock on wood, have made some fantastic hires over the last year. And it's really, I think it's just come from me having had to be extremely in the weeds. Like I felt extremely comfortable hiring a, paid social director or growth person like many years ago. But when it comes to like creative director or VP of marketing or VP of ecom or something like that, I only felt confident having been extremely in the weeds and then while interviewing people, understanding when they are dorky enough or have the tactical knowledge enough to be able to like do the role. Yeah, no. And like I said earlier, I mean, in an extremely loving way. I don't think anybody on my team would take any offense to that. And yeah, so that's obviously helpful. The roles that I've mishired in the past are the ones where I didn't deeply understand what was needed and defaulted too much to their quote unquote expertise. We're hiring you as a director. I trust you in executing on this well. And there was just like a few times like too much misalignment there.
Yeah, I had that realization this morning because that's like the conventional advice is like hire people and get out of their way.
Yeah. And we talked about this with McCoy I was like, you need a certain, it feels like leadership and hiring, same sort of idea, is best with a certain level of dogma. And that's like such a like double-edged sword because it cuts both ways. Like if you're dogmatic in the wrong way, you're leading your organization like down the wrong path. But at the same time, you need to be confident enough in your expertise and your vision that someone's executing within some sort of guardrails. And you understand when they're deviating from that and you understand that they're not a fit.
Well, what I tell my VP of retail is like, retail more than me. You've opened far more stores than I have. I know Jones Road better than you do. And I think that's how because I also think you can't pretend to know it all. And it's one thing if Connor, if you're hiring a paid media person, like you're going to know that and you're going to be the expert in that. But if you're hiring, a brand person or a retail person who's like not your strength, like I think we have to have the humility there. But it also doesn't mean just, throw caution to the wind, like you do whatever you want. Like I think you still have to own the culture of your company and make those decisions because you know best for what your company needs.
Yeah. And I think what McCoy said was something like, it's just competence all the way down. And it's like, you realize that problem solving mentality can actually port across more departments and teams and functions than you might previously realize. So it's just a matter of striking that balance of you have expertise that you need to be hiring for, and then you need to make sure that they are aligning with like your competent understanding of your business because they're not going to be more of an expert in Jones Road than you.
Do you do like projects with your hires? Like that's something we do is like actually make them do something and that can't get you all the way there, but I think that's been really helpful for us to be like, all right, this person, they do understand it all the way from the strategy level all the way down to like how this actually comes to life through a e-commerce brand with all the little internet marketing details. I think that's been really helpful. Do you guys do that with your hires?
We've started doing a lot of case studies. Yeah. And that's also something that I would recommend. We pay to do the case studies. It's like a couple $100. It should take someone a couple hours. And that's just helpful to see how they think through problems.
Yeah. You know what I think is the one it's hard to gauge this in the hiring process, but it becomes very apparent quickly once you've actually hired someone is I think what's great culture and the person that I'm trying to hire for is the person that gets super, super excited about producing amazing outcomes, right? Like our director of paid media in London, like he's texting me on Saturday with like our year-over-year screenshot, like up 30%, like let's go, like new media mix is doing well. Like I want the CRO lead to text me and be like, dude, like 20% lift in RPU, like yeah, like this, like people that really get excited about the outcomes that we're all trying to produce literally every single day, like because that's what we're trying to do, right? It's just like stack marginal wins on top of each other, and that's how you like ensure you're always improving as a e-commerce brand and just like an internet marketing driven brand. Like I want my creative strategist texting me on a Sunday morning or like a Tuesday night and be like, oh, this new creative test is crushing. Like, hell yeah. Like I want to feel that enthusiasm, like be enthusiastic about these amazing outcomes that we are working tirelessly to produce. Like it's cool to launch a new ad that's a new swing and all of a sudden it's just banging to a totally new audience. Like that makes me excited. And like, I want to hire people that also get excited about that.
So Connor, because your VP marketing, I think is from a larger brand, right? And so like, again, like I think
actually, this is like ideal. Yeah. Her background is, she was at Wayfair, massive brand, but also everybody I've spoken to at Waysearch tactically just like insane. Like they are so much different than, like we've hired some people from Yeti who were like not very good. And I think Yeti, if you hire, like they are just so big and just like at such critical mass that the people within that organization are not de facto amazing. That might be a little harsh, but like it's true.
Yeah.
So really big brand. And then she also had D2C experience at a much smaller brand. And she had a management consultant background. I'm like, oh my God, like I just absolutely checking a lot of boxes.
Okay, cool. So it seems like, because I would imagine VP marketing, like there's a very strategic component to that role, right? If it's VP marketing, but it's not just that. And so I think I'm at the same thing that I'm looking for, where it's like, this person's going to be doing brand strategy. They're going to help us figure out what is like the next phase of our growth and business and, persona development and, strategic insights for, for just like reaching new audiences and how we speak to them. So it's a very strategic thing. But then if they give me a deck, then it's like, okay, go execute on it. So my concern is you get somebody from a big brand and they're not going to be an executor. But if you get somebody from a smaller brand, like they haven't done what they haven't experienced or done that. So like, what made you feel confident that somebody from a larger brand could also be a fit for executing in your culture?
Well, the experience of having been in both brands is a huge value, I think. Our COO worked in banking and then at another D2C brand he was very early at the brand and then they grew to over 9 figures. And it was like, I actually think that is such a unique experience to have. Like, I'm very partial to those people. I think they're extremely hard to hire, frankly. Like if you've worked at a $1 billion brand and gone from 20 million to 150 million at a D2C brand, I think that you just have a skill set that spans a very large spectrum. So those were the two things. And then the other thing was the case study. It was just extremely detail oriented. And we could talk offline about like some more details of the role. But in this case, they oversee, and I've talked about this on the pod before, go-to-market strategy. There's a huge operation behind that. So you need someone who understands strategy, but at the same time, like process and organization and timelines and things like that. And then also a lot of our own channels. So retention, partnerships, organic social CX. So anyway, those were some of the things that we got where, given what I needed from a person that would oversee those functions within the business, we were looking at the case study, we were looking at previous experience. We did probably at least 3 interviews at the time.
I like that, that you said that they have, big brand experience and like smaller D2C. That's, I think, one thing I've been looking for, where in the past we had talked to people from big companies and they're like, oh, I want to work at a startup. But it's like, I'm not willing to let this be your first startup, because you might romanticize a startup because you don't like the bureaucracy, but like you don't. That's what I've learned. And so a few of the resumes that I've like, people were at Johnson & Johnson or L'Oreal or something, but then they gravitated to startups and they went like they were at multiple after it. So it's like there's some proof that they kind of like it. So I think that's a good one. I also I just try to be very transparent about our culture as part of a process, and just like, this is how it works. You're not going to have the most resources. You're going to be expected to do these things yourselves. And like, I think the right people are not fazed by that, and the wrong people are like, oh, maybe that's not for me.
I've gotten that advice as well. And I think it's particularly hiring for like more junior roles, where I got the advice at one point, like you have to before you hire them, you have to sit them down and tell them like, hey, I'm going to sometimes expect you to like answer my Slacks on the weekends and work hours outside of 9 to 5 and things like that. Like, we have a high performance culture and that will sometimes be expected of you. And really, like, to a certain degree, try to turn off the people that won't fit in that culture.
I think it's probably some of the best advice I've ever gotten. I'll just like, especially, and by the way, I'll interview almost everybody at the company. And especially now that this is so important to me in the culture. And even if it's a junior person, I'll sit them down and I'll say that. I'm like, all right, by the time it gets to me, people like you, my job is to tell you why you shouldn't work here.
Okay, so another thing, we'll have Zach stuck on again in the future. He walked me through his hiring process, and it was extremely cool because he talks to everybody, but he does like 15 minutes, the first person he talks to, just screening them for like the few attributes that he's looking for. And then he's passing them off to the more like tactical stuff so that his, director of paid media can hire a media buyer or whatever. And that's a very interesting sort of flow, I think.
To start with the founder, CEO, to filter.
Founder, 15-minute, grill them super quickly, vet them whether he thinks that they're going to fit the culture, et cetera. I don't know how he would describe exactly what he's looking for. And then they're getting passed down to the 40-minute, more in-depth interviews and case studies.
That would be good. I feel like, obviously, Connor, but I feel like Zach is really good at hiring and building a team and has this like solid performance expectations.
Oh, dude, totally. Yeah, he's the classic example, right? Where he's been so deep in the weeds of an ad account, but now he's also like CEO, founder of these brands, and he's not as in the weeds on all the details. So he's like he knows exactly what to look for, and he's always done a great job of attracting really good talent. I mean,
or alternative theory, Wisconsin residents are extremely good at digital marketing naturally, and it's just shooting fish in a barrel for Zach.
Well, there's not that many of us, so it's like you find another media buyer in the wild. It's like, what has happened? Like, this is crazy. I remember being in like Milwaukee, Wisconsin, like in my Facebook ads account, and like this person walked up to me and like he had the most insane look on his face. Like, what? Like, you're in Facebook Ads Manager right now? Like, no way. I've never met another one of me.
Wait, is that how you met him? Is that how he hired you?
No, this was when I was already working at Homestead, and I was working. I was living in Milwaukee. I met Zach. I ended up getting hired by Homestead because I met Zach's partner on LinkedIn, and I joined him 3 weeks later.
Okay, would have been a cooler story if that happened though.
Actually, hold on. Can we cut that?
All right, cool. Anything else? Anything else you guys want to share? Hiring, building team culture.
No, I like it.
That was good.
All right, well, that was a good one. Excited to have everybody here. Appreciate the time. As always, want to thank our sponsors. I think this is episode 81. We got Motion, Rich Panel, Prescient AI, Aftersell, and House. If you like this, please subscribe, YouTube, comment, let us know any questions you have, and hope everyone's gearing up for a good Q4.